leader, actually, okay, we're live. So we're on. So I'm guessing he's the leader. He's supposed to lead this, but he's not here yet. So should we just start discussing everything? That way we can kind of get things going since we're already almost 20 minutes late.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So does anybody want to start? I'm looking over here for the agenda for the group. So
Says, do we need to start with the prayer? Are they going to grade us on that?
Normally they don't. They don't ever say require anything. On all the other ones I've ever done, they've never required a prayer. It's just
Yeah.
just straight to business.
All right, let's get straight to business then.
okay. So basically, begin with a quick synopsis of the case, and then we can discuss the case facts. Like, what's the issue? Why is it important? And what are the specific behaviors that raise concern? So I guess we can all talk a little bit and then discuss it.
And just, should we let Jared and Brian give their quick input real fast since they have to bounce?
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let Brian go first since he's got the little ones. That way he can.
Yeah. Here, go. Here, you want? Somebody else want to take the lead real quick? I got to deal with the tantrum real quick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, from what I got from the reading is that I'm looking at my notes because I'm not very good. I just came from another class right now, and my brain's a little bit all over the place. But if I believe what we're discussing is the that analysis of the Mary Griffith, is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Perfect. What I got is that the gentleman or person was very. He seemed very like he would be professional with the outside clientele, but then he would become he treated employees in a different aspect. You know, he had such a different standard for his employees. He didn't necessarily trust his employees either, it seemed like. He didn't really communicate very well either, you know. So,
Yeah, that's right.
I think that can potentially be a bad thing if you don't know how to communicate with your employees or treat people on a common level. You have no trust, you have no trust with each other, and that's something that's vital, is having trust with your coworkers, because otherwise they're not going to talk to you about it, and if they won't communicate with you, they're going to shut down.
That's what I took from it. Like he was good at interfacing with like customers and then people that were above him, but it turned out when people were his subordinates, he could be pretty demeaning.
Yeah, he treated them farly different than I think he would treat someone. Maybe he was dealing with business. Maybe he was afraid that he would lose that potential sale or whatever it was that he was doing. But then again, how could you treat your employee hold them to a different level or standard?
Right.
That's what I got.
The one other thing I noticed from it was the issue with when she needed to visit and talk with him, she wasn't clear on why she was visiting him.
Okay.
And so his perception of what the meeting was going to be about was confused, where she was coming to him to address these issues that had been brought up to her. He thought she was coming to him to like get an update on the brand and the new partnership and stuff. And so I thought there was an issue there where she needed to better communicate to him why she was coming to talk to him, so that when she surprised him with this revelation that she wasn't happy with how he was treating some of the other team members.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought there was an issue with the way that was communicated.
Sure.
Yeah. Did you guys get a chance to look over the PowerPoint workshop thing?
A little bit.
Yeah, same here. Not much.
Okay.
About 4 pages into it.
Yeah. A little bit of what I saw in that, I mean, it kind of talks about like how to deal with some of the things, but like going back over the whole scenario, I just like when I read it, I just kind of got the sense that he was, it talked about him being like this go-getter guy, that he's just like, he's working under and kind of challenging some of the previous department heads and stuff. And I mean, obviously he's probably got a good work ethic, but yeah, like what everybody else has said before, he's kind of like, he's not, maybe he's
Not a great communicator, or
communicator,
they're not express.
His expectations, especially now that he's in charge, might be a little bit more than what people can actually do. Especially when you're trying to, like, if you set the bar high, and even though you want to try to hit those, but if you're going to hold like your whole team accountable, if you don't hit those, and then kind of like critique them or criticize them for not doing that, I've been around those kind of situations where it's like, dude, you guys just need to chill. It's like, just relax. We can't hit those numbers, or we can't do that. Be realistic.
Sure.
I've actually had an experience a lot where I would work at a company and see someone get promoted, and then their relationship would change with a lot of the people they previously worked with. And so it's always frustrating when that dynamic happens, where you're suddenly being managed by someone you used to work side by side with, and they're suddenly treating everyone poorly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think an example I could think of, like, maybe would be that whole, just recently, that Wells Fargo thing that you see on the news right now about how the senior manager or CEO is he's not ownership into the fact that he had these expectations and they weren't able to fulfill those expectations. So he just started getting rid of people. And these were people that obviously spent a lot of years and did a lot of work for him, and he treated them did disservice to them. Maybe he didn't communicate them the way he wanted it done, or I'm sure there was other issues underlying it too, but I kind of thought that maybe fit in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I thought about some of the statements he made prior to the revelation about what was going on, that they played back sort of for the sake of irony. Sure. And how, if you were one of those employees that was under that sales pressure, stress, and you were hearing what your CEO was saying, there'd be this major disconnect between the way he communicated the goals of Wells Fargo to the public versus what you were hearing internally, which is tons of pressure to push products people didn't want on them and stuff like that.
Sure. A misused company resources and funds is what it sounds like. So,
yeah.
Well, something that I actually just reread, kind of getting back to the situation, was, he says when he's on the floor kind of stopping the production and everything, what did he say? Where did it go? I just scrolled up. Saying, like my team dropped the ball or something,
Yeah, when he was yelling at the guy.
Yeah, he's like, obviously my team dropped where did it go?
He goes on to say this would be a career limiting offense if it was.
Thank God this is just an internal meeting. My team dropped the ball and forgot that details matter. I mean, for me, I would have been like, I don't know. I kind of go with the whole praise in public, discipline in private or whatever, where it's like, you know what? He's the department head, Obviously, he's...
I think their performance reflects his leadership.
Exactly.
And the fact that he treats them that way after having done their work because he was at the company before is just very condescending. And then one of the things that I put on one of the issues is that he lacks empathy. And having that lack of empathy towards any subordinate sets this expectation like you can only be perfect. And what it does is it sets people back because then they're afraid to make a mistake. So then they're always trying to walk on eggshells and they don't perform to their highest potential. Yeah. And so what he's doing is he's really disabling his team by not having any empathy towards them at all. And especially with the yelling and the remarks that he does, it's just poor. It just shows how much of a poor leader he is.
And I took it a little bit different because he's clearly really talented at creating partnerships and creating good brand strategy. But he previously was an assistant brand manager to someone who it appeared they had a really good working relationship, and then that person retired and he replaced him. So like was mentioned earlier by I think Brian or Jared, that he now had all the responsibility on his shoulders, and he might be reacting poorly to that new pressure. So I was just thinking how important it is, just because someone moves up into a leadership position in the company, that doesn't mean they don't need a mentor anymore.
I was just going to say that.
They need someone else, someone who's already in a management position adjacent to them now. It's not someone above them anymore. You know, maybe executives don't have the time to do this, but someone adjacent to them might need to be assigned to say, hey, this person's a new manager, a new department head or whatever. Be their coach, you know, help them, just so that they don't feel like in this new position they're alone now, where before they had the support of their mentor, basically, who's now gone.
I think that one of the things that I put down as well was that, and we don't know if this was clear or not because the whole thing doesn't explain it, but usually in a good company, a good structured company, when you change jobs, you go through a training, and you also go through a new job description, which discusses what your role is, like what your lanes are. And I think that also kind of shows a little bit, maybe, I mean, we don't know, of poor training from the company, from Mary, from whoever it was, in regards to how to properly train him into that position, because maybe this is his first leadership position. And of course he lacks communication skills, but at the same time, we don't know if they were trained or not. And so I think that a revisiting the job description and having that meeting with him in order to properly train him might do them good.
Yeah,
I agree. That I think learning how to speak to employees or anybody in particular is a key skill. I mean, you can't just talk down to them and expect them to do things for you. You know, you have to treat them. You have to value them, because I've always learned, the more you appreciate, like my bosses appreciate me or they praise me, the more I am apt to go and do more for them, you know. And of course there's going to come criticism too, but you learn to take that criticism in stride and move and build on it, you know, and move into something else rather than take it and be like, oh, well, he's mad at me now, you know, I'm not going to talk to him anymore.
Right.
You know, you move it.
Right. I think, Brenton, you've joined us. Are you there? Because it's kind of dark. I can't really see you. Okay, you can chime in.
Yeah, I'm good. I agree with you guys.
The other thing that came up, or that I was wondering about, is it's clear Mary Griffin's reaction to this communicates like a different desired culture. Like her reaction isn't like, well, yeah, I appreciate that. I love a guy who drives his team super hard. You know, her reaction is like, well, shoot, yeah, this is a problem. So she clearly has a culture in mind for the company that's more like the ideal culture we're talking about, a little more teamwork oriented and everyone's involved. But that culture must not be communicated well enough, or else this Simon York guy would already be familiar with the desired culture. And because I think that he just doesn't understand, or he's in the dark about what the culture that these other individuals are expecting in the company. You know, Mary Griffin clearly expects a different kind of interaction between managers and subordinates.
Right. That makes sense.
Well,
okay, let me see actually if there's anything else, hold on, that we're supposed to talk about. I think you did a good job at touching the culture, because that's a couple of the other things. What do you believe is the culture of Derby Foods? What do you think are the guiding principles? What do you think are the beliefs? Blah, blah, blah. And then roles. What is Mary's role in establishing the culture? What is Simon's role? Well, I guess so everybody's role. And then now I guess we should discuss recommendations. So what are some of the recommendations that you guys put for yours?
Just real quick, do Brian and Jared need to bounce? I know.
Here very shortly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of need to bounce this one. I just got her calmed down from a tantrum, but yeah, she definitely needs to go to bed now.
I don't think we have to do these for an hour, guys. I think that as long as we cover everything and we discuss it and the discussion is meaningful, I don't think we have to do these for an hour.
I don't think so either. A lot of the classes I've had, they've never really timed it. It's just been as long as you cover the material.
Yeah.
Right.
I actually went through the whole PowerPoint thing, and it actually has some like techniques and what you can do, as I put over there in the chat window. I don't know if you guys can see it, on how to kind of talk to people about like behavior and stuff, be it good or bad, you know. And one of the things that they have in the PowerPoint is an exercise, because they actually bring up this scenario of what Mary. Yeah, you don't want me to talk. How Mary can approach him and kind of just start the conversation, because I can't remember who said it earlier. I think it was Neil, that the meeting that was set up wasn't really. It was like, it was just kind of like, you know, oh yeah, she just wants to talk to you about something. You know, it was very vague as what the meeting was supposed to be, when she was actually going to be addressing, the no clear purpose
Right.
to it. Whereas in the example in the PowerPoint, it actually talks about, hey, look, we're going to be talking about this, and it's very direct, but it basically, it would have us go through and do some recorded scenarios, but we've already, that was multiple recorded things going on tonight, so no. I think we would have just done the examples for like a minute or two.
I'll check that out, though. Yeah, I'll definitely just go through that.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was helpful.
But yeah, it's I mean, just some tools and stuff. I think that's what they're trying to get us to look at for this week of, okay, and it's actually something that I've noticed this week. It's like identifying things that people have done and how they, how does this one just, okay, we're almost done. I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So but as I was thinking about it, I really felt like this was a valuable asset to the company, and he wasn't completely toxic. He just had this kind of caustic way of communicating with people. So
Yeah.
there's a real salvageable situation here, and
I always laugh because my wife, she deals with that a lot, and they have this book called, I don't know if you've heard of, Crucial Conversations, and they have a very formal way of speaking to each other. And to me, it's not very odd, very funny, because they don't directly accuse. You can't accuse anybody of something. It's, when you do this, you make me feel this way, and this makes me feel this way. So you own your feelings, and I'm like, at my work, it's like, you did this wrong. And there's no, you make me feel this way. That's very lovey-dovey.
Yeah, that's the whole PowerPoint thing. That's what they say.
Yeah,
They're like, it's never direct. It's never like,
correct.
oh, you've done this, or when you did this. It's like, oh, it's like, oh, yesterday when during this conversation I felt this way.
Yeah.
And
You own your feelings about it. And then
yeah,
it's very odd. Like, I talked to my wife, I'm like, that's just the oddest thing I've ever heard. And I started reading the book, and I'm like, I can't use this. People will laugh at me if I use it.
Sounds like therapy at work.
Yeah.
I think that we're also,
is, you know?
I know. I think we're also like encouraged to look at outside sources. And I was looking at this doctor that was talking about how to deal with like leadership. And he was talking about how it's really good for you to actually do a staff and employee survey. And so that you take a look at a couple of things, like you take a look at, is team productivity low or high? And if it's low, that means that obviously there's a problem, that it's in the leadership because the team doesn't connect well and they don't know how to work with each other. But if you do like an anonymous employee survey, it's going to bring out a lot of what the issues are without actually pointing to who is saying it. And then that way the leaders can address it. And I think that especially for his team, since his team were feeling really uncomfortable at the meeting, kind of like how it was saying at that one little part that they were all like sitting uncomfortably and they couldn't wait for the team meeting to be done. And then there was a mistake. So obviously productivity isn't good, that it would be good for him to maybe try that, because that might help him figure out as well without people having to feel like they're going to be put on the spot.
yeah. I think so. Well,
Well, I'm gonna get out of here. Did we decide on who's doing next week then, or do you want to just communicate that through email? And
well,
I-
there's a sign-up sheet that I thought we don't have to discuss it here, but maybe we'll send it out in the email. And I think he wants it submitted this week. Where we each sign up for 1 week through the end of the course on a Word doc.
Okay.
So I might upload that to Google Docs and just share it with everyone, and then we can all get in there and sign up.
Fantastic.
So I'll try and get it up to Google Docs, share it with everybody, and I think if we all sign up by tomorrow, hopefully we can turn it in time for whatever participation thing.
Okay, I'll finish this meeting and then I'll submit everything to him so that I know Brenton was supposed to be the leader, but with everybody's schedules and everything of this week, I'll just submit it to him and I'll just tell him that we had a conflict and that we didn't really know how to use, that he had a problem. And so I'll just submit it. And then Neil, that'd be great if you could send that out to everybody, and I'll let him know that. You know what, as a matter of fact, I'll just tell him that we met tonight, and then once we all sign up by tomorrow, I'll send him both the link and the Google spreadsheet.
Okay. All right. I'll get it up there.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. See you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, all.